my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show? My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something. We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
The free American, Clay Douglas. Catch the Free American weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Every time I think about the damage that's been done, the anger wells inside me till I'm almost overcome. I want to tear the moon out of the sky and drop the sun. Why do I feel so all alone like I'm the only one? For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621. Your soulmate knows the darkness will be fine eternity. Like enemies who thunder in the shadows of the night. They break inside and enter through the windows of your mind. How can I?
All right.
Radio business is rising across this great United States, and that means straight from the heart of Texas. It is time for Clayton Douglas, the Free American.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American. My guest today is Mark Berlin, and Mark, numerous talents. He has a book out, and let me get over here. Okay, Obama Confidential. This is a humorous collection of fake letters to the 44th President of the United States. This, Mark, give me a little bit of background. Now, you make films. You obviously write books here. And why'd you pick Obama? And what kind of background you got to launch you on doing a humorous book on Obama?
Well, thanks. First of all, thanks, Clay. Good morning, and it's nice to be on your show. I appreciate it. I am a writer of humor books, and this is my third book. And I'm also a media executive. I own a small film production company. And about 6 months ago, I was sitting at my writing desk, like I am right now, talking to you. And I was looking out at the forest, at the trees up here in Concord, Massachusetts, where I live. And I was angry. I was angry about the state of the country, among other things. And when I'm angry, I tend to sit down and write something. Because I think you write best when you're angry. If you don't have anything to say and you're not angry, what's the point of writing anything? So I started composing this letter to President Obama about some subject that I was angry about. And when I was done writing the letter about an hour later, it turned out it was from, not from me, it was from Warren Buffett. And then it was kind of funny, and then I sat down and I wrote another letter, and that turned out to be from Bill Clinton to Obama. And when I was done with this whole project, about 3 months later, I had about 75 of these sort of humorous letters, and I culled them down to 60, and I put them between the pages of this book, Obama Confidential. And it's pretty funny, and the book contains all also 15 or 16 replies from Obama to the letter writer, and also a bunch of color photographs of goings on in the White House mailroom, etc. So that's the etymology, the origin of this book. Right?
That's interesting. You know, sometimes I've sat down to write and finishing off a paragraph or a chapter or something, I kind of shake my head and go, how did he do that? Why did he do that?
Right. Well, some people, so far the book's been out only about a week, which is like, no time for a book, obviously. But some people think that despite the disclaimer at the beginning of the book, it's a pretty blatant disclaimer. Some readers even have been under the misapprehension that the book consists of actual letters to Obama. And when they find out that they aren't actual letters but invented letters, they get sort of upset. And I had another radio station called me up and they wanted to do an interview, and I was all set to do that. And on the last moment they said, "These letters aren't real." And I said, "Well, yeah, but have you ever read real letters to Obama? They're boring as hell. I don't think you want to interview those.
Okay.
You don't want to interview them.
We may have lost connection here. I've had some problems with my internet. I just got AT&T installed, and I think it's
Can you hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, okay. It looks like we're on still. Everything is working here. So
Good.
hopefully with the new connection we've got here, we'll be good. We'll be good.
It's not the NSA, is it?
Well, it certainly could be. I mean, they're listening to everybody's phone calls today, aren't they?
Yeah, they're probably sabotaging us, Clay.
Well, you know, that's not too far out of the realm of possibility here.
Normally, I wouldn't come up with some idea like that, but I think under the circumstances they are, don't you?
It could be. It could be. You know, I mean, as you know, I've been under attack since starting the militias around the country, and my career may outrank yours a little bit. My career now consists of pissing off 4 presidents. Doesn't
Oh, good.
doesn't seem to matter whether they're Republican or Democrat. I don't think they're happy with me.
Yeah. Well, I almost pissed off. I think I pissed off George W. Bush. I made a documentary about him. They weren't happy about, but again, it was relatively innocuous and done it all in fun. But they found out about it somehow.
Now you wrote a book on comedy, but what about now Bush wasn't better? You know, we've got kind of a string of presidents here that haven't been exactly
Top notch.
top notch. No,
Yeah.
and you know, I took an oath when I was 17 years old to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
I volunteered for Vietnam. I thought that was the thing to do, and at the time I didn't know we were fighting an illegal war there. I mean, we didn't. There was no Gulf of Tonkin incident. Nobody was attacking us, and those farmers over in Vietnam certainly didn't do anything. So, from going on for a Vietnam, for volunteering for Vietnam, I just wasn't happy with the way the government was handling that. I'm glad I didn't go. I'm glad I didn't go over there. And I started selling peace symbols to Walmarts and Kmarts, and maybe did my part to stop a war.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, that was a big disaster. Vietnam was a colossal disaster, and that was clear. And in my opinion, Iraq was a disaster. I mean, the facts are that we didn't need to go over there. There was no weapons of mass destruction. And returning a little bit to what you just said a minute ago about we've had some serial bad presidents here. George H.W. Bush was the vice president. He was sort of like almost appointed to be president because he came right after a very popular president, Reagan. And then his dad, then his son, became president. What qualifications did he have, except being the son? I don't know. And then he was advised by Cheney and all those other people in the White House to go over and bomb Iraq. A major mistake. And now today, this week, we're seeing it. We've got 3 states, countries in the Middle East that are totally screwed up. You've got Syria, totally chaotic. You've got Egypt, totally chaotic. And you've got Iraq, total chaos. Bombings, 5 bombings a week, 100 people killed every day, and that was a direct result of the incursion into Iraq. Total disaster. I submit to you, on a par with Vietnam. Of course, not as many people were killed as in Vietnam, 57,000, correct, in Vietnam. But thank God, not that many, because we made war more efficient. But a total disaster as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it was, and pretty much all of our wars have been. I mean, we really had no business getting involved in World War II or World War One, but we've been sucked into this. And just did an article that said basically all wars are bankers of wars. Many years ago in the Free American, I published a bankers document or testimony, and they outlined the way they do it. They fund both sides. They did that in the Cold War. I mean, we fought a Cold War for 50 years. Russian people weren't our enemy.
No. Military, if I say to you the phrase military-industrial complex, what is your reaction to that?
We had one president that actually told us the truth.
Right. George Eisenhower.
Eisenhower, yeah. And he wasn't exactly the good guy either. I mean, if you go back during the war, what he did to the veterans in the war. You know, I've said anytime a communist regime takes over in a country, they go after 3 classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first, they go after the intelligentsia next, and that's anyone that's smart enough to know what they're doing. And a third, they go after the veterans and the law enforcement that might still be loyal to the old regime.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are at right now. We've certainly been under. I mean, I volunteered to go to Vietnam to fight communists.
Yeah.
And I read the planks on the Communist Manifesto and realized every one of them were intact in America today.
Like which ones?
All of them. All of them. Central bank, heavily progressive graduated income tax. And number 9 is especially my favorite, the corporate farms. Can you say Monsanto?
Yeah, but that's big business. That's just the opposite of the sort of agrarian revolution. Those are the big guys getting those handouts from the government, right?
That's right. That's Archer Daniels Midland. That's Monsanto. And here, since I'm on this, let me go ahead and tell you the other ones. Number 1 is abolition of private property.
Yep.
Heavily progressive income tax is number 2.
Yep.
Abolition of all rights of inheritance is number 3. 4 is confiscation of property of all immigrants and rebels. Is that marijuana you got in your car, boy? 5, central bank. 6, government control of communications and transportation. We certainly got that. Government ownership of factories and agriculture. Corporate farms, regional planning, and government control of education. All happening right now under the guise of government.
That's true. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well, that's a
What can we do? What can the individual, let's talk realistically, what can the individual do about any of those things? I'll throw it
we
back at you.
I believe that if we study our Bill of Rights, and those aren't government rights, that's God given rights. The Ten Amendments. If we support that and quit fighting amongst ourselves, the New World Order they have certain rules of war. Divide and conquer is one of them. They want to put the Muslims on one side, the Jews on another side, and Christians there in the middle. There's no reason we should be fighting each other. So somewhere in our religion, somewhere in our political system, there's a bug in it. There is a disease in it. There's a virus that's been planted there. As James Forrestal said, if they were just stupid, occasionally they'd make a mistake in our favor. And when I asked myself, after reporting on this whole New World Order thing, now we get a New World view. The very real prospect of a New World Order. I mean, there you go, George Bush. Sent a chill up my back listening to it.
Yeah. Well, my beef right now is somewhat along the same lines that you've just delineated, very succinctly, I might add. My beef right now, and I think one of the things that has sort of made me angry and prompted me to write this book, Clay, was on a different topic, a little bit different topic, which was, and we had talked about this earlier, was the over-socialization or hyper-political correctness we face, especially in America today. That's what sort of like I've noticed, and I wrote another book about this that's sort of similar, that sort of discusses that topic. My first book, that God Looks Like Jesus, but that's another discussion. But I have a problem with the hyper political correctness going on. You walk down the street and you say hi to somebody, they want to sue you. You walk further down the street, and some guy's got a red jacket on. You go, I like your red jacket. He looks at you like you're crazy. He says, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. And then you go to the club and you start working out or something, like I do, and you say, I got to go, and they say, you can't say that to me. Everything you say is wrong. The words are very treacherous these days. You can't, it seems like you can't, whatever you say is wrong. That's my beef. And this book, Obama Confidential, although it doesn't address this issue correctly, I think in some way the DNA is in there somewhere that, as I said, that prompted me to write the book. The DNA of all this political correctness, where if you're not on the same wavelength as everybody else in the country, then you're a criminal almost.
Well, Ayn Rand did tell us that the government has no control over honest citizens, so they have to make criminals out of us. And I believe that's what they've been doing. They made it criminal for our farmers to grow a number one cash crop in America. They made it a criminal offense.
Right.
They put me in prison for smoking a joint in Texas, 99, when it was 99 years, potentially.
Wow. How many, did you go to jail?
I went to prison for a year and a half, yes, sir.
Wow, for smoking? No.
Well, yeah, well, no, I just had some in my house, that's all.
Oh, wow. Jesus. Well, they're trying to, a holder apparently is trying to do something about these mandatory sentences we've got a hold of right now, which is I'm in favor of. I think that will go some way to reduce the overcrowding from these drug offenses, but there's so many people in prison, it will take a while for that to happen, to seep through the system, right, for all those guys to get out, because it probably won't be retroactive, right?
Well,
And
in my opinion, they should abolish all laws against victimless crimes, shut down
yeah,
this whole prison industry. We got a prison industry here. This is
yeah,
traded on the stock market, and half of the people in the prisons are illegal aliens. So the prison industries are actually in favor of doing this. The police state is in favor of this Hegelian dialectic. Well, we got a problem with
yeah,
illegal immigration. They
yeah,
come up here, they can't get jobs because they're illegal. So what do? They go into the drug business. They deal in the drug business. They probably were paid to bring it up here, walking across the border.
yeah. Are you in favor of legalizing prostitution?
That's a victimless crimes. It should be legalized. Whatever. You know, I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what you do in your bedroom.
Yeah,
If you want to pay money to a lady rather than and rent her for a night, you know, that's between you and her.
yeah. So why is that prostitution illegal? I don't understand.
Why is it illegal?
Yeah, let's analyze that for a second. Why is it illegal?
Because the bankers, who I think are the source of all our problems, just my personal opinion, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's the whole fractional banking thing is a huge scam that's been held over our heads for 100 years. So we got our parents just scratching their head, and go, well, but that's the way it's done. That's the
yeah.
way it's done. That's the way it's always been done. It's always that way. I remember when I was a kid, it was always that way.
Mhm.
So it's a programming. Now I blame that, and I understand that you're Jewish. So there's you know I've told people I don't care who your grandmother slept with. It don't matter to me. It
Mhm.
don't matter to me how you. But the television, I think, is the most insidious mind control tool out there.
Oh, Jesus! I could go
and
on for
and
an
they
hour about
brag.
that.
The people in Hollywood, the writers in Hollywood that are Jewish, are brag about the Jewish control of Hollywood. And I if it's not about being Jewish or being Muslim or being Christian. Because I've known some, I know some few Christian preachers that ought to be tarred and feathered, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But it's really about law. It's about if who's a communist. I mean, we saw a lot of good, talented people in Hollywood suffer over the hunt for communists. Now it's like there's a hunt for patriots.
yeah,
And I just had a gentleman on my show that's an expert about talking about Muslims, and I said, well, you know, what about the way they treat their women? What about the way? He said they treat their women fine.
mm,
He said, I said, well, what about making them wear all those masks and all that veils and stuff like that? He said, what country?
yeah.
They're not all like that.
No,
But that's the propaganda that's being put out to us to try to take us into that third war that Master Mason, that Civil War general Albert Pike predicted. He said we'd have three world wars, the third being against the Muslims.
yeah. Well, I think in the as far as the Hollywood thing, I would only say because I have worked in that business a little bit for the last 13, well, last 25 years, sort of on the fringes of it. The production decay or the decay in the quality of what you're seeing on the big screen and on TV these days, that is a complicated issue. It's sort of hard to explain why it's not, you know, the way it was in the golden era of television in the 60s and 70s. I think basically people have run out of ideas. It's just basically a bankruptcy of ideas. That's what you're witnessing right now. You're witnessing the fact that the media companies are enthralled to young people and anybody between the ages of, you know, they're trying to reach people 12 to 18 or something, some age cohort like that. So you're seeing everything is geared toward that age group. So so when you turn on the TV and you feel like you're being talked to like you're a child, that's the reason for that happening. As far as the Third World War, I agree with that. It looks like it probably will happen in Iran. Iran could be ground zero. The Israelis are getting increasingly pissed off about this inevitable march toward the development of uranium and or plutonium bomb. They're more worried about the plutonium bomb now.
Well, let me ask you about that for very quickly.
Yep.
Israel has 400, 300 to 400 nuclear weapons. They
I
got
don't think they
nuclear
have that.
submarines.
I don't think they have that many. No. I think they have. Do they?
I get any since nobody's allowed, since they're not a member of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission,
Yeah.
since there is no oversight there,
Yeah.
and a lot of people, and I may agree with them more after on the show. Well, Clay, don't call them Jews. They're Zionists. The Zionists are behind this. Look, the Nutricarta here out of Australia, the Jewish organization out there, they're pointing the finger at the Zionists.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell who the enemy. They are making us Americans. I'm just an old biker. I'm just an old patriot. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I took an oath to defend the Constitution. I read it. I think it's a good thing. I
Yeah.
think the Bill of Rights is a good thing because it protects your rights too. And it doesn't matter what religion we are. Is
Right.
it good for our families? Is it good for our children? Why are they spraying us with chemtrails? Is that a Jewish issue? Is that a Muslim issue? Is that a Christian issue? Why are they spraying us with aluminum and barium and who knows what else? Why are they doing that? Who gains by this? Who pays for all that fuel going in those planes to crisscross our sky to poison our mountains? The Mount Shasta and Mount Rainier are poisoned with chemtrails. Yeah, and so this ain't a religious issue. That's to me the religions are simply there to facilitate wars against enemies that might have more oil than us, or more gold than us, or more cocaine than us.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? Again, how do we resist this? Who is glossing over, this, the NSA, tapping everybody's phones? Well, if you're not doing anything,
Yeah. Israel has about 80 nukes.
okay.
Uh, and Pakistan has about 110.
Things
So,
are blowing up in Pakistan right now. People are upset that we're conducting drone raids over there. We're getting police departments that are flying drones around in America right now. What's
yeah.
happening here?
Well, I'm a little concerned about this. I think in September, which is not far away now, we're going to have a we're coming to some sort of climax denouement, whatever you want to call it, between Israel and Iraq, Israel and Iran. The Israelis are getting increasingly pissed off with Iran, who are developing something over there under those mountains, Qum or whatever it's called, Qum, whatever. And they're going to take action, don't you think? I mean, they're not going to just sit forever and wait for the U.S. to do something. What do you think is going to happen over there? Do you see some sort of scenario?
I think that they are moving us to World War III. If Israel goes after Iran, and we're committed to back up
Yeah.
Israel,
Yeah.
and again, the Israel's position with me is on very very thin ice, considering what happened to the USS Liberty. That
Yeah.
was an attempt, and Lyndon Baines Johnson, the man, as far as I'm concerned, was behind the killing of Kennedy. Sold us out to we were within minutes of a nuclear strike on Egypt,